Hello and welcome to the Home Assistant Podcast. As usual, my name is Rohan and I'm joined with Phil. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Rohan, how you doing?
Good. And today we've got Pete. Hey, Pete, how are you doing?
I am fantastic. Good to be here.
I love that.
Pete, we are happy to have you here.
Really?
Hang on. Let me start off the episode nicely. Come on. Pete is 1/3 of the Technical Difficulties podcast. He's also got the DIY Smart Home Guy channel, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But Rohan, do we have a sponsor for today?
We do. This episode, as usual, is sponsored by Home Assistant Cloud by Nabukasa. Easily access your local Home Assistant instance remotely for a small monthly fee that supports the Home Assistant, ESP Home, Z-Wave JS, and a bunch of other projects. Configuration's done by the user interface, so there's no fiddling with router settings, SSL certificates, or any YAML.
Pete, I would first of all, we are very happy to have you here. I think the Home Assistant community can benefit from someone like you being on this podcast today.
Of course they can.
So for a bit of context, Pete is generally on the Technical Difficulties podcast, I wouldn't say anti-Home Assistant, but reluctant to use Home Assistant, which I'm sure we want to unpack a bit more in a minute. But Pete, can you tell us and our listeners a little bit about yourself, how you've got to here today, I guess? How did you become a smart home podcaster and YouTube channel person?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so first of all, I am from the United States, and for my American friends, Z-Wave, that's Z-Wave. Just clarifying, clarifying for that,
that.
So
it's debatable, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
but as Pete pointed out, I am wearing a Z-Wave shirt. So
yeah, you said it right this time. Very good.
There you go. That's just for you, Pete. It's funny because I always called it Z-Wave until Phil started calling it Z-Wave, and I was like, he's right. But now I'm kind of in between, and I go
and
back.
You've got the North American accent to back up the use of Z, so I get it.
But we say Z in Canada.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, do you? Okay. I've only been there a couple of times, so I guess I'm not. Haven't talked to.
Again, people. We're not religious about it, but for the most part, we say Z.
I am very religious about it. It is Z.
the house of Zed over there.
That's
so
right.
yeah, so I got into this game. I started working for Hubitat. They're another hub competitor of Home Assistant, I guess you could say, or you could also partner with. It's just another hub. It's another smart home hub. I worked there for several years, and I left that, and I had been making videos for Hubitat when I was there, and I liked that. I enjoyed that. And when I left, I was planning to start my own channel, and I had been befriended John Stone, who used to run the DIY Smart Home channel that I now own. I just called him up asking for some advice, and then he called me back the next day. He's like, "Well, what if you just took over my channel?" And I'm like,
"Wow,
yeah."
Wow, I was like,
really?
Well, yeah. I was like, "How about that?" So I'm like, I thought about it, and I'm like, that seems like a pretty solid jumping off point. So yeah, so I did it. I shot him in the head and buried him in the desert, and now I'm the DIY smart home guy.
I mean, I was gonna say you're like the Pope, where one Pope passes away, transitions to the other. Not that he died. I'm not sure if he did or not. Maybe
no,
he did. In which case, this is a really bad joke.
No, he did not die, but we did do the white smoke out of his chimney just to let the neighbors know that there was a new DIY smart home guy, and they were very confused because they didn't even know he was the DIY smart home guy. And here we are.
So I'm guessing then, so you hadn't done a previous YouTube channel. This was your first foray into YouTube? Like, was this just stone cold? I'm taking over someone's YouTube channel. Here I go.
Yeah, pretty much. So like I said, I was running Hubitat's smart YouTube channel, right? So I'd done, 50 videos on that or whatever. And I do have my own personal channel just under my name. I only have a few. Those videos they're golf videos for my golf buddies, basically, about my golf trips. That's all it is. They're funny if you want to watch them. But so I hadn't really done a whole lot, but I've always enjoyed making videos and doing just creative things, whatever the medium is. I used to work in advertising, and I was a copywriter, and I used to write the ads and write the videos that other people would then edit. And so now it's just me doing all of that instead of just the writing part. So
that's right. You just had to make your life a lot harder for a lot less pay. Is basically what happened.
Exactly. That's man, that
Yeah.
hits home. Uh,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool because I'm guessing like a lot of people that a lot of creators that would start off in YouTube, they start off with 0 subs, right? And it's a constant, evolution of okay, does this thumbnail work? Does this style of video work? I'm guessing you taking over a YouTube channel, there was already a loyal subscriber base. There was a sort of content, schedule that was already done. Did you then have to follow that? Did you find that okay, no, I want to do it my own way, or
oh yeah. As far as it was nice to have. Yeah, I had 27,000 subs or something coming in. Now I've got 35,000 subs. Since so we've grown the channel since I took over about a year and a half ago or so, which is good. So that was great that I could post videos and there were people already willing to watch it. And I had been on a couple of his shows before. Like he wasn't a podcast, but he had interviewed me a couple times for different Hubitat videos he'd done. So the audience was a little bit familiar with me, which was kind of nice. And I'm a different style than what he does, but he had a sense of humor too and stuff. So it was never just like a straight laced channel. And I've probably brought the goofiness up cranked that up to 11, but it's so that's been great. As far as a content schedule, that's my worst bugaboo is I'm terrible about being consistent. It takes me too long to make videos, and I will admit that that's my own fault. I'm too much of a perfectionist, and I spend too much time doing stupid things that don't matter, like the songs that I've been putting. Like, why do I do that? I don't know. Do people want to hear songs about smart locks? Probably not, but I enjoy that
I think
part
they're
of it.
hilarious, but yeah, exactly. Well,
They are pretty
it's funny
funny.
because when you texted me being like, "Oh my god, I did a thing," and then you sent me that video, I think I died. Right. But yeah,
Yeah,
but it's fun, right? I like that you keep it light. I like that you kind of have fun with it, right? But that smart lock video that you just talked about, that one, if I feel like that almost like took you out there, right? It's like that one was pretty painful from what you described.
yeah. Okay, so for those that don't know, I did this video. I reviewed 16 smart locks at one time, a big comparison of all that, and that was a lot to bite off at one time. And I was like working on this video. It took me forever to finish because I was like, how is this any different than all the other people reviewing smart locks? And I just got to the point, like when you review that many at the same time, it's like they're all the same. And I just stopped caring. Like
Right.
there's one good lock and the rest are fine. And I'm like, how do I convey that? And finally I wrote a song about how much I hated reviewing the 16 locks. And I put it at the end of made a music video out of it and I put it at the end of the video. That video is actually doing very, very well. I'm getting like 1,000 views a day on that video right
it's
now.
good.
So
That's
it's
decent. Yeah.
yeah, so that's pretty cool. So that'll be it's fun. I haven't checked in a few days, but yeah, that one's doing very well. And then I did another smart lock video next a few weeks after that, and nobody's watching that. So who knows? I guess it's you never know what's gonna
The
hit
curse of the
in these
algorithm.
things. I know. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna follow up my very successful lock video with another one, and yeah, it didn't seem to. And I did another song with that one too. It was a beautiful thing. And
Maybe that's why it didn't do too well. Like,
well, I went from what I had bluegrass banjo in the first one, and I switched to acapella uh, quartet, and
that's right.
maybe that was the downfall of the whole thing. But
So you did 16 smart locks this year. Now, smart locks, like generally, they come out with a new offering every year. Can we expect 17 smart locks to be reviewed next year, or are you done?
like legit, I could do 100 smart locks, and I would still have people in the comments saying, "Why didn't you do this one? Where was this one?" I'm like, how?
Yep.
Where does it end? Where is it? I got one yesterday. Yes, I think I can show you this one. SwitchBot has a new lock coming out. I kind of trashed their last lock just because it's so freaking ugly. This one's a little bit smaller,
Okay.
so we'll see see how that one goes. But they sent that to, I didn't even ask to get that, so they just sent it to me. I'm like, oh, all right. And I have another one coming. Yeah, it's weird. I get a lot of requests to review locks that like from companies you've never heard of, and I just don't even respond to those. I'm like, I can't spend my life reviewing locks.
But it's funny because you've almost pigeonholed yourself into a lock creator, a lock video creator.
I refuse to be pigeonholed into a smart lock.
That's right.
Video guy. They're fine, but like it's like in the end, how much time do I want to spend of my life thinking about smart locks? Like I got the what is it? The Lockley Visage, and nobody's beaten that yet. It's got facial recognition. I walk up to the front door and it unlocks. It's awesome. I'm like, that's great. But other than that, like that's a $400 lock, and like I got it for free, which is awesome. But I don't know if I'd spend that much. And like, there's not that much difference, like legitimately, between like a decent $120, $30 lock and the $300 locks. I'm like, you get a little more features, but for that much more money, I'm like, just buy a decent, $120 lock. It's fine. So
it's I think smart locks are one of the few categories in smart homes that I absolutely hate. I think it's just it's which one sucks the least, right? I think that's the game, right? Not which one's the best. And I like even like for my door specifically, like it's, and I've talked about this on the podcast.
I've heard
but like bore size is too small, blah blah blah. So I have to use only like a couple of locks. But even with the other ones, it's like I feel like it's I don't know. It's like they're all, a lot of them are the same or do the exact same thing, work the exact same way. Or it's like they're just ugly. At the end of the day, smart home is still a home, right? There has to be some level of aesthetic there.
See, here's where I will disagree with you on that a little bit.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Please.
As far as the aesthetic of your house, like I like things inside my house to look pretty nice.
Sure.
I don't care about the outside of my house because I don't see the outside of my house. My wife.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, I care a little bit, but my wife's like, she was like, we should redo the siding of the house, like change the color. I'm like, I would rather pay to have the neighbor's house resided because I stare at that like all day long, right? Like I see my house for like 12 seconds a day when I pull into the driveway, and that's it.
That's right.
So yeah, I spend the money on the inside stuff versus the outside stuff.
That's fair. I don't know. Yeah, like it's still like I find that they all, and especially, I mean, you're in Minnesota, so you guys kind of have the same.
By the way,
issue that we have.
Kind of gave a little Minnesota. You kind of gave the accent there when you said that. That was nice.
Can I say I'd love to be one of yours.
Oh,
one of
wonderful!
Your people. There you
wonderful.
Go. No, I'm happy being in Toronto though. No, but I don't know if I'm sure you guys have this problem where, again, because of the winters and stuff, the changing between seasons, your ground thaws, freezes, which causes a shift in the ground, right, and in the soil, and whatever. So, which now starts to offset your house sometimes, or move things around, that kind of thing. Right now, all of my doors are like, my front and my back door are just terrible. When I moved into the house, they were perfect, right? And because of that, things like smart locks actually cause me some issues.
Maybe you should learn how to build houses a little better. We don't seem to have that kind of problem here.
Honestly, I'm not skilled enough to, so I don't even try.
No,
but I agree. The builders can do better.
Yeah, no, I feel like the builders have gotten worse from what I have. My house isn't that old, but yeah, the builders don't seem to care as much anymore about the quality because they're gone. They're going to move on to they only need to build your house once. So yeah. They're gone. But no, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you started working at Hubitat. Had you been previously in like doing any smart home stuff before working there?
No, not at all. I was a total noob to the smart home game. And actually that I felt like that served the company well because everyone else there was like seriously deep into smart home stuff. And they didn't know what they didn't know at times, right? Like they were so playing at this level, right, that they didn't totally understand. You not many people are up here, right? You got to
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
how to talk to the people that are down here. So I was, working in
Sure.
marketing stuff and trying to, and that was where the videos came from a lot, is that I realized people need to. It was a complicated product. Hubitat, and just like most hubs, like Home Assistant, it's
Yep.
complicated. It's difficult to understand and use, and to have a video tutorial can really help a lot of people out, especially if someone that can speak at your level. And so that's really where I got my start in that, was I realized there was a need for that. And yeah, those videos did very well. And yeah, so it's good that, I gave a different perspective that they just didn't have in the
Yeah.
company.
Yeah. You're not building by engineers for engineers, right? And it's by engineers for everybody. And
Right.
again, a lot of times working in tech and working the product side, it's well, I'm a sales side, but dealing with products again, we have that same issues sometimes, right? It's
Mhm.
like, and as is every tech company, where it's, the engineers build it and they're like, hey, this is so cool, and you're like, yes, but how usable is it, right?
Exactly.
And don't get me wrong, it gets there, right? But it's just that conversation needs to be had sometimes, right? And
Yeah, it's about, like, do you want to make money, or do you not want to make money? Is kind of what it comes down to, right? I mean, yeah, you can make this super high tech product that a few people love and know how to use, but if you want, to expand to sell more units, you got to make it a little more user friendly for the people. So,
yeah, and I mean that's a good segue onto your experience with Home Assistant, right?
yep.
Let's talk about it, or maybe lack thereof
Okay,
of
yeah.
around
So
the
yes,
experience.
I have a Home Assistant Green. So it's not the most advanced. I was able to plug it in and go, which I appreciate. I did, before I had Home Assistant Green, I did set up Home Assistant on an old Mac that I had. That was not a fun process. I don't remember the specifics about that very much, but I do remember it was not particularly easy to get up and running. I followed all their instructions and everything. I had to download all these weird uh, things, and it kept giving me warnings, like, if you do this, you're gonna blow everything up, or whatever it was saying. And so, it was not, I'm not a tech guy, right? So it wasn't
Sure.
particularly fun to engage with that. But I did get that set up, and I've got the Home Assistant Green now, which was a lot easier to set up, as far as, just plug and play for the most part. You had to buy a dongle, right? So I've got a Z-Wave dongle for that to communicate with some of the devices and everything like that. But uh and I know it's gotten a lot better, the interface and everything, but it's still, I run into walls with Home Assistant where you got to get into YAML. I just can't do everything I want to do in the interface as far as the automations go. And yeah, I don't appreciate having to use YAML. I don't know YAML. AI has made that easier on me. So
I
the
bet.
last
Yeah.
thing I did, just basically typed into ChatGPT, said this is what I want to do, and it did give me YAML. It cranked. I said, give me the YAML code for this, and it did, and it worked. And I was smart enough, so I basically did a portion of it, and I was able to figure out. Okay, I said do it for these lights, and then I'm like, okay, I can copy that, plug in the other lights that I want to use, and
Yeah.
I got it to work. But
So that part they've actually made a lot easier this release. The I guess whatever. I guess we're recording this in May, so the May release,
okay, I've not seen the May
uh
release yet. Yeah, so
where they've essentially done like almost a hybrid, right? So where specifically if you need YAML for specific parts, those pieces will be YAMLized, and the rest of it you can still leverage the UI for it. So it's like when you're talking about entities, you want to pick certain entities, or whatever. You can say, "Hey, click, 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 click," and then let's say you're using a template to describe something or something like that. Then you can go in and that part can be YAML specifically. You still have to go back and forth just to switch the view, but I think they're going to get that fixed hopefully
okay.
soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that'd be
Oh,
good. I Another thing I don't like entities, like
yeah.
like the lingo. Just, it's so techy, and
Sure.
it still doesn't make sense to me. Like, it
Mm.
just doesn't feel like it's words that I would ever use in my real life, and so it's hard for my brain to be like, oh, an entity is actually a light or a switch or whatever. Entities can be a lot of weird different things, it seems like to me. And yeah, it just, there wasn't a good way to figure out the specific things I was trying to request. Even when I'm using the menus and stuff, the drop downs and everything, is like I still had to do a lot of digging into the devices to figure out, okay, what was the specific wording I had to use to get the thing that I need. And so it's just, it's fiddly. It's fiddly.
And that's fair.
Yeah, and I think Home Assistant is aware of this. This is something like they're trying to push on. Like, I think the entities that we've got at the moment are a bit of a hangover from the very first release of Home Assistant, right? Where it was all, here's a light, here's an entity. Okay, now we've got the concept of devices, and devices can be like basically a group of entities, right? And yeah, I think Home Assistant is slowly working towards improving that. I'd love to know, like from your perspective, what you think a better way of working automations would be, like against a device. Like if you've got a light, oh no, who's going to do it?
This is my better way to work. I love my Homey Pro.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know I'm not going to sell out. I'm not. Trust me, Homey's not paying me anything. But I just love, like, that works the way my brains work as far as the drag. Everything of that is drag and drop. You got little bubbles that you move around, you draw lines between them. It's like Node-RED, but it actually makes sense. So it's, because I know you, do you guys familiar with Node-RED? You guys Node-RED? Yeah. So, Node, I did a video on the Homey Pro flows, and I kept getting all these comments about Node-RED. No, it's like Node-RED. I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, I got to try Node-RED, right? So I tried Node-RED, and oh my gosh, like that was almost harder than Home Assistant.
Yeah, I admit, I had to
cow.
stop. Like, I was like, okay, this does not make any sense to me on how you'd organize any automations in Node-RED. Like,
no, because like I said, the language in Home Assistant was difficult to deal with, but the language in Node-RED is even worse. Like honestly, I kept having to go back and figure out what these words meant that I didn't understand anything. Like I could follow the lines, like, oh, that's how it's going to go, but what to put in where was amazingly complicated.
Yeah, I found the same too, right? When I used Node-RED for quite a bit. When I moved to the Home Assistant Yellow, I redid all my automations in kind of the native constructs within Home Assistant, like the native automation editor there. But I still have a couple of very complex ones that I have. For the most part, it's all in Home Assistant though, right? There's very little in Node-RED, and again, those are ones where it's like, if my Node-RED container dies, nah, not the end of the world, right? And it's just that kind of thing. But yeah, I do agree with you that Node-RED can be kind of complex. It's very powerful, but it's for the average user. Do you need that level of power? And that comes with the complexity, right?
Yeah, it's weird because it's like the concept is so easy to understand as far as like I'm just a visual person, right? Like I can, again, it's like following the lines. Like I can look at that and be like, okay, I know exactly what this is supposed to do by following through with that. And when I get into, even with Hubitat, it's very difficult with like when you get into rule machine in Hubitat, and it's everything's in such a linear fashion, right? Like, and I don't think directly that way. Like even building a rule in rule machine in Hubitat, like, or in Home Assistant, I feel like you have to kind of go in order, right? You got to go like from start to finish, and it's trying to do things in the middle or whatever after the fact is just difficult, and it's just not always easy to see, to get a good view of what is going on with that. Whereas with the Homey Pro flows, I can start with the part of the rule I want to, and I can start in the middle and build out, or add things, and so that just works so much better because I don't always know exactly what I want to do when I start building a rule. And this is in any platform, right? I'm like, I kind of have an idea of what I want to do, and then I get into it and I'm like, oh, I guess I actually need to do this thing and that thing, whatever. And the Homey Pro works very well with that, and the others don't seem to work in that fashion, at least in my experience.
So can you explain, like, my understanding is in Home Assistant, you're right, like you have to go from the start to the end, right? You start with a trigger. What are the conditions for that trigger to fire, for that trigger to be true? And then here's the action that I want to be performed if all those conditions are met. You mentioned in Homey Pro, you can start like from the middle. Can you give an example on how that would be different? Like something that you could do in Homey Pro that you wouldn't do in Home Assistant or that linear fashion?
Yeah. Okay. So for example, I might just like start with like, okay, here's all the devices I want in this rule. And I'll just drop those, they're cards. Everything's cards, right? So I just drop all those cards on the sheet, right? So I know these are the devices I want. And yeah, I might know the trigger I want. And then it's like I can just drop everything that I can see, and then I can just start connecting the lines versus having to think this is first, this is next, second, third, fourth, etc. Right? I can just get it all on there, and I can just move it around to where it needs to be, and sometimes it'll open up different ideas for how to do the rule better. Versus, I feel like by seeing it, you're right, I can get different ideas that might make what I thought was going to be good into a different thing that'll work better. Versus, I feel like Home Assistant, Hubitat, they don't have that same ability to like really inspire me, if you will. I have to know what I'm going to do going in. I don't get new ideas as I'm building it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I'm guessing, yeah, you're putting it all on the table and go, okay, what am I going to build with these ingredients? Okay, yes, I want to do that. And then, oh, actually, I can do actually flow this way and do that as well.
It's funny because I in Node-RED, it's again, to your point, it's kind of similar the way you connect the nodes, right? And do all that stuff up. But I actually found, for me at least, that was too unstructured, where I'm like, okay, let me do this. Whereas it's like the Home Assistant structure, I'm like, for me, that's just how my brain works, right? It's like, okay, what am I trying to do? What happens if, like, what is the trigger? What is the condition? What is the action? Right? So it's like, to me, and I think when I build automations, my brain just naturally thinks like that, and rather than having it more structured, but or rather more having it more unstructured, rather, right? But I totally see what you mean about, having, you kind of throw it all on the palette and just say, okay, if I do this way, I can do something cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I can kind of compare it to in the video. So I did one video where I did the exact same rule in Hubitat, Homey Pro, and in Home Assistant, right? The same
yeah,
devices, same rule, everything, just to kind of show here's the different processes for doing it. And in the end, I compared it to, I said, like Hubitat and especially Home Assistant was like trying to solve a complicated math problem. It just like you could do it. It just wasn't. I've never found
right.
math fun. Some people love math, right? So that's great. Whereas Homey Pro was more like solving an interesting puzzle to me, which not like the puzzle pieces, but like any kind of logic puzzles and
Mhm.
escape room type things. Like I enjoy that sort of thing, trying to logic something out. But if it's math, it's like forget about it. So that's kind of the feeling that I got with those different systems.
That's fair. So, I mean, on that kind of topic of what you're doing at home, so you primarily use the Homey Pro Hub for your automations. Is
Yeah,
that a
for the
fair
most part,
statement?
I've switched. It was used to be mostly Hubitat when I worked there, and even after I did. But then I discovered Homey, and it's just more fun to use. Like I said, I just appreciate using it a lot more. It's gotten a lot better. It still is not as compatible as some of the devices I have in Hubitat aren't compatible with Homey Pro. So I still have some things running on
Right.
Hubitat, and it's still a solid system. I do have one or two things running on the Home Assistant Green just so I can keep up with what's going on
Yeah.
in Home Assistant.
Why not?
So it's good. And Home Assistant, like I will give Home Assistant a lot of credit. Number one, they're very compatible, right? You can get a lot
Mhm.
more things in Home Assistant than you can in these other systems. Number two, you do have a very passionate community, which is good. And I don't know where all these people have all this. Just it's like programmers that we had this talked about on my show. They program
Yeah.
during their day job, and then they come home and do free programming for for Home Assistant
Yep. Yep.
when they get home. So yeah, you get a lot of people volunteering and helping out and building that
Yeah.
product and making it a lot better, which is awesome, and you need that. That's great. There's some of that in Hubitat has it, Homey Pro has that, but not to the extent that Home
Yeah.
Assistant does. So yeah, that's very cool, and I do appreciate that they're making inroads into making it more easier to use, and the fact that they have a box is great that somebody can just
Yeah.
plug in and go. That's the direction they need to take, and it's great.
Yeah. Totally agreed. Now, on you talked about on your Home Assistant Green, you got a Z-Wave stick. Is that kind of your protocol of choice across the stacks or across the different platforms, or you just did that just for fun, or
No, I just chose to get that one. As I honestly, I would maybe get another one, but and I could just get an extender. But like, there's with the green, the USB, like they're so close together, you don't have room to like plug in multiple sticks, and I could just like I said, get an extension, it'd be fine. But I don't know. It's mainly for me. It's Zigbee and Z-Wave are the two. I probably have maybe a little more Z-Wave, but I have a lot of both of them. And I have some. I try not to get Wi-Fi devices just because I just find them not as reliable, and they have to go through your router, and you know, they
100%.
get in each other's way quite a bit. But I do have more than my share of Wi-Fi devices as well. But
Well, while we're talking about Z-Wave, if you're looking to upgrade your smart home, you can't go past Zeus. Add Z-Wave long range to your home assistant setup with the Zeus ZST U39 USB radio. Their advanced technology operates in dual network mode, combining a reliable mesh system with ultra-fast direct device-to-hub connectivity. And with Z-Wave long-range support, you can get coverage up to 1,300 feet or 400 meters, both indoors and outdoors. Oh, and it's extremely secure with unique DSK QR code scanning, which you can now do directly in Home Assistant. The Z-Wave JS integration in Home Assistant enables seamless compatibility with a range of brands all working together through this secure, private, and standardized off-cloud protocol. But that's just the start. Zeus offer a range of affordable and innovative devices, including water leak sensors, water valve controllers, smart plugs, scene controllers, and even color paddles. The color paddles for their scene controllers, dimmers, and switches allow smart devices to blend seamlessly into your home. For the best prices on all Zeus products, head over to thesmartesthouse.com. That's thesmartesthouse.com. And speaking of other protocols, I would like to know, you just mentioned before, like no Wi-Fi. Have you ever had issues having too many Wi-Fi devices on your network that's sort of why you sit away from it?
yeah, I have had issues. I just recently got a router system, and it hopefully it's going to be better. But yeah, I overloaded like everyone does, right? Yeah, I had the inexpensive router, and you get too many devices on it, and it causes problems, right? And things don't trigger when you want them to, and it's kind of annoying. But even with the new router, that definitely holds more than enough or handles more than enough devices for what I have. I feel like they're just not as reliable as what you're going to get with the Z-Wave and Zigbee. So yeah, it's just annoying.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm looking at getting some more energy monitors, just to smart plugs to put around the house. So I can get some more graphs around the house. And I'm thinking, well, everyone's recommending these Wi-Fi plugs, but it's the same thing, right? Like I don't want like a whole bunch of like 10, 20 devices running around reporting energy usage every minute, just overflowing the network, right? And I've got a Ubiquiti setup, but even so,
Especially for a Wi-Fi device, like they do use more energy than the
yep,
Zigbee and Z-Wave devices. So if energy monitoring is what you're after, whatever savings you're going to find, you're going to be wasting because it's going to be triggering every few seconds or whatever. Yeah. So
exactly, yeah. So I want to talk a little bit more about Homey Pro, because I think you won't get a lot of. I know from my only perspective, hearing you saying, I've got Homey Pro, it sounds like it's a proprietary closed off system. It's a business, I'm assuming here. That's why it's got Pro in the name. Do you fear, because one of the selling points of people using Home Assistant is that it's yours, it's local, you can see the code behind it. But do you ever have a fear that, okay, tomorrow I'm going to get an email from Homey Pro that they've gone out of business and all of a sudden my smart home is at risk? I'm not going to be able to use some subscription service that I've got, or things are just going to stop working.
no, and trust me, I totally understand that fear. I mean, with the way what was Smart Things went through when they got purchased,
Right.
they changed a lot of things, upset a lot of people, and people didn't have control over their things anymore. So I totally understand that fear. Homey Pro did just recently get purchased by LG, right? I believe it was LG just
Okay.
purchased them, and
Right.
so people were concerned that the same thing was going to happen. I did get a chance to meet with one of the founders of Homey Pro. We had a couple drinks with him. We talked for like an hour, and he is still totally invested in the product. Like they're just not leaving anytime. Yeah, they were happy to get the money, but it's like a a passion of his, right? Like I get the feeling like if they didn't pay him anymore, he'd still want to be involved in the product. But he says that the contract that they have, they have, I don't remember how many years, but they get to be in control for a long time, and that's what they want, and everything they've done since the purchase has indicated that they are still committed to the original product. So I'm very happy with how that's going, and I'm not worried that things are going to go away. So
That's good. I will give LG some credit too. They recently made an integration into Home. They could see a lot of people were using their API. There's a Hacks component, which is the custom component store for Home Assistant, Pete, you might not be aware of. And someone had created an API, a backdoor API into LG's API and said, hey, like you can now get your devices in. LG was sort of like, we could do this a little bit better. Let us create an official integration. So kudos to LG. I've got a fridge, aircon, TV. I love my LG stuff, and I was also really pleased to see them come aboard and contribute to Home in that way too.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I like that they're the more and more companies are seeing the benefit of taking an active role in developing integrations with different systems, like you said, Home Assistant, like
Yeah.
Homey Pro, and things like that. And it's like, are you a big enough company that they're going to want to invest in you, and is that that sort of thing. But I appreciate that they're seeing that, and yeah, it's really allowing for a lot more integrations between devices.
Well, particularly now that we see this context now that, okay, LG also own Homey Pro, which could be a competitor to Home Assistant, but yet they still took the time to invest resources to build that component for Home Assistant, right? Like some companies just would be like, that's a complete write-off. Let's block Home Assistant and direct people to use Homey Pro, for example.
Okay, so I probably, yeah, nobody's listening anyways. Okay, so when I was working at Home Assistant or at Hubitat, I mean, yeah, there was kind of some people in the organization considered Home Assistant a competitor, and like we needed to crush them. Others realized that they could be we could use them to our advantage, right? Like you had a bigger user base than Hubitat had, right? And it's like, Hubitat made a great device. And if you're looking to integrate Z-Wave or Zigbee into your Home Assistant, right, you could do that through Hubitat, right? And that seemed like a big market opportunity. Like, let's work on a bridge, and there is a bridge into it. It's never official with Hubitat. It works just fine. I don't know who did it, but it's I was more on the line of like, let's work with these guys and see what we can do with it. I mean, they're not even they weren't at the time a for-profit company anyways, right? It's like, why are we too worried about them? But yeah, so I think that's would be better for both companies.
Well, and I think I mean, going back to like a company like LG, it's you can say, hey, it works best with Homey Pro, cool. And if somebody doesn't already have a home automation system, whatever, and they're interested in going down that route, great, here you go. Right. But why would you alienate business, or why would you alienate your customers and say, hey, we're not going to support you on whatever other platform, right? Whether it's Home Assistant or any other ones. Home Assistant is smart. It is one of the biggest ones out there, right? They just crossed 2 million homes or something like that in in their user base, which is, I don't know, significant, right?
Yeah, for sure. Especially these and the people that have it are passionate about it, right? So it's not just 2 million people; it's like 2 million like hardcore passionate people, right? So
absolutely. So why wouldn't you want to? Why wouldn't you want to encourage them to use your product over somebody else that says no, we don't want to integrate with the thing? So to me, it's almost a competitive edge where a company would open up their stuff to uh, again, whatever system, right? I mean, we're talking Home Assistant, but it doesn't have to be specifically Home Assistant, right? Like LG could also open it up for smart things. Like, it doesn't matter.
and that's the reasoning behind the Matter protocol, right? Is that
Yep.
that's the idea, is that it's supposed to be compatible with all the systems. We're working on that still, not me personally, but other people are working on. It's getting better. It's getting better,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's hard to imagine there's ever going to be a day where like everybody is working with each other, because that's just not the nature of business, is to crush everybody else, right? And
Yeah.
that's why I'm bad at business, because I don't crush people. But I
We
don't.
should
I
all
don't
hug.
yeah, let's hug. Let's hug it out. Let's work together.
Yeah.
But that's just not how it is, right? It's like, you look at cable, right? Like, and how TV, I don't know how it works in Canada and in Toronto, or Canada is in
We still
Toronto.
have TVs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good. Australia
There's
is
TVs in
still
Australia too. Don't worry.
okay. Good. Are they backwards? Are
upside
they
down
upside
there.
down?
It's
Right. Okay.
yeah.
Everything's upside down.
Yeah, but like, okay, we had cable. You'd have to buy the whole subscription, right, to cable, and you get
Right.
all the different channels, right, and then all of a sudden you were going to be able to buy the specific channels that you wanted, but now they're not working. Like you can't like now we have 1,000 different subscriptions, right? It's like I have
Right.
so many. If everyone's working for the customer, you'd be able to have one subscription and just pick the channels you want, but it just doesn't work that way. They all package things
Yep.
weird together, and you want one thing on this, and most of the stuff you don't want, but there's that one show you want, and it's
Oh yeah, it's so silly, right? Well, we got there, right, with Netflix when Netflix initially started doing that, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is great. Let's all sell our videos or whatever, license our videos to Netflix." And then one after the other, they just started booting themselves to their own things, right? Like Paramount has their thing and
and right,
whatever.
it's like so dumb. Like they're all losing money right now, but
Yeah.
their plan is like, well, we're gonna just eventually crush everybody, and then we'll get all the money, right? Instead of just like get your share of the money, and everyone do fine. But they all want to like get all the money, so they just it's like a
Well, it's
survival
also
of
it. I don't know. I know we're severely diverging from our actual content here, but
that's
but
always
it's
my
also like
plan.
it's also like again, Netflix is, I don't know, I look at them as a tech company, right? Whereas I don't look at Paramount as a tech company or one of the others, right? And
Mhm.
it's fine when there's like Netflix, maybe YouTube. Again, those are very different things. One's user created, one's studio created kind of deal. Right. So sure. But then everybody wants their own piece of the pie, right? And all you've done is you've diluted it so much that your viewership has probably gone down a decent amount.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd be interested to see like piracy rates, right? Like, since Spotify's been out, I think piracy rates for audio just like plummeted, right? Because audio
Yep.
was all of a sudden a good price point. I'd be interested to see, now that all these streaming services are coming out, is piracy back on the rise, right? Now that we have to buy
I've
multiple
actually
things.
read that it actually is. That's
Yeah.
There you
it's
go.
back because it had dropped significantly because people were able to get the things they wanted at a reasonable price, and now it's
Yeah.
shifting back to you having to pay and spend so much for
Yep.
just a little bit of stuff that you want, and the piracy is going back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And ultimately they just lose again. Right. So
yeah,
But
exactly.
somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to win it all, and that's what life is all about, apparently.
that's right.
All right, so getting back on topic a little bit, what would you like to see, Pete, in both Home Assistant and I'll open it to Homey Pro as well? Like, what do you think is missing from your perspective in terms of, all right, yeah, we're here, but if we had this or went in this direction, it would be better for more users?
Yeah. Okay. So I
Hmm.
have mentioned this on multiple different shows and platforms and things, but like it's all about AI, right? AI is taking over everything. And somebody someday is going to come up with a good enough AI and it's probably going to, maybe, I would say Home Assistant's probably the leader in the clubhouse, unless there's, actually probably Google or Amazon or something are probably working on this and they'll just spring it on everybody. But like the idea is that like you could just either type out or talk to your thing and be like, I want these lights to turn on at this time, but not on Sundays and not on leap years, and only when a rabbit is crossing my backyard. It's whatever you want to say, right? You would just tell it, this is what I want these devices to do, and it would do it, right? That would be how you automate your house. Like you just tell it what you want to have happen. There's limited abilities to do this in some systems, but not to the full power that like I'm talking about. But it's going to happen. I mean, somebody's going to win that race, and it's going to be great. And I've said like how Amazon wins with this, right? Is like you say, I want these lights to turn on when at sunset, but also if the TV turns on, I need the lights to dim down to 20%, right? And then it would be like, okay, well, if you want that to happen, you need this plug with your
Yes.
TV,
Yep.
right? Would you like
Yeah.
me to send that to you? Right? That's how they make their money, right? It's like it just says,
Don't give them ideas.
I know
They sell me enough crap.
I'm sure they do. I've been saying this for they're listening. I know they definitely want to hear what Pete Borchers has to say about how to make money. That's probably what they're
That's
looking
right.
for. But yeah, I think that's makes just a lot of sense. I think that's the future.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, I swear we've talked about this before, maybe Phil, but also like it'd be cool to see kind of habit based, right? Like, oh, hey, every day you go in and you turn on this light at around this time. So it's like, okay, great. If a motion sensor detects you around this time,
Mhm.
just assume it's going to go in and turn it on or whatever, right? Or it detects, hey, you wake up, you get out of the bed. Normally you do this, this, this. Well, based on that, maybe we'll just create a routine around that and do
Echo
that, right?
hunches, it actually works, you mean?
Yeah, well, exactly, right? And in the past, they used to have, even again, this is pre like AI, right? It's also like they had like, hey, we noticed you do this, like let's just get a routine going, right? And to your point, like with hunches and all that stuff, right? So
So I had this automation on my Hubitat for lights to turn on at a specific time every morning for the kids going to school, and I disabled the automation, deleted the automation, right? And it kept happening. Like it kept happening. I'm like, what? I could not figure out why this was triggering. And I'm like going, and I even called one of my old friends that still work there. I'm like, dude, what is going on with this hub? Like this doesn't exist. Like this is deleted. I
It's not
deleted this
there.
automation and it's still happening. And he's like, he's looking at, I'm like sending my logs and everything. He's like, it's not triggering this. This is not, I'm like, it has to be triggering this. And then he's like, do you have an Alexa? I'm like, yeah. He's like, check your hunches. And it kept going because it like somehow turned a hunch on me. So I was doing this. I'm like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, that was
wait, it
amazing.
actually enabled the hunch? I thought it was supposed to
I don't,
suggest.
I, like, I don't remember ever
That's
saying, yeah, do
bizarre.
that. It might have been one of those things where I was just like scrolling through and just like hitting, sure, whatever. Like maybe I
Yeah.
did it inadvertently or something, but
Sure.
like it happened and then I turned it off and it stopped happening. It was so, I don't know how it started, but that was what had happened. I was like, oh my gosh, no way. That was,
I don't think she's ever suggested one to me. So that's, yeah.
Oh, really?
oh, now
I
that I
haven't
know
had too
about
many,
it,
but
yeah, I can, you can go look at them and stuff, but like, I don't know how it turned on. I mean, I must have done something to enable it. I certainly didn't intentionally do it, but that was just like, I was like bizarre. I was like, I can't believe, like, there's like a phantom hub in my house that's controlling things. Like, stop. It's summer now. I need this turned off. I don't need the lights to come on every
that's right.
morning for school. So
That's funny. So Pete, one of the things we like to do here is talk about what our guests' favorite automations are. So obviously that could be across any of your platforms that you use or a combination of them. What's your favorite automation or two that you like in the house?
my favorite one is super boring. It's not even really an automation. It's just the fact it's the one that saved me from my house being robbed. Is the garage door just shuts every night at a certain time? Like it's super boring and simple, but oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
always forgot to shut the garage door, and it was horrible. And now it just shuts automatically if I forget to do it. So that's my favorite, just because it saved my keister a number of times. My my most fun automation, I will say. So this is my actual favorite. Is the I automated my closet door for my robot vacuum. So it automatically I built. You have a video on this. I built my own door opener for the closet door, so it automatically will open the door to let the vacuum out, and it can go vacuum the house, and then it comes back in and it can shut the door. So it's super cool. So that's my favorite, just because it took a lot of effort and
What? That's so cool.
creativity. So I have a video on that, but it's that was fun. That was fun to figure out.
That's really cool. I actually just saw this on I want to say Instagram or Facebook or something like that. And somebody had posted an automatic door opener where they basically took a SwitchBot curtain um, rail thing, stuck it to their door because it
Hmm.
got wheels, right? And just ran it, and it just opens the door. And I was
Yeah,
like,
that was
"Oh
that
my god,
Vince.
that's genius! I would never have
Was
No
thought of
that
idea
was
that."
for
that
that.
was that
Yeah.
Vince? One of the guys on my podcast. He did that with.
I
I inspired him.
I don't think it was Vince.
Okay.
I saw it on. I think it was
Oh, is
just
it
somebody
okay?
random.
So that was he did that with his. He has a dryer that he has a door that he uses a switchbot thing to slide the barn door style door, right? He slides open and shut, and he also has a little flip door thing that he made for his little he put his vacuum like behind a wall is how he did it. So he has a little door that opens up. But yeah, I just use my regular bifold door for my closet. I took a valve opener, right, for a water valve, and I put an arm. I put a drawer slide arm, and then I had the other side of the drawer slide. It's screwed into the inside of the door, so it just opens up and goes into the slide and pushes it open. And then when it needs to go, it yanks it shut. But it also, like, with it, the tricky part was I needed the door to still be able to be opened manually if you didn't want to use the door opener, right? So that was the hard part, was having it disengage from the door. So like if someone just wanted to open the door for their closet, they could just grab it, open it, and shut it. So it only works when it's connected. So it's pretty cool. Took way too much effort, and not enough people cared, but I care. So that was good.
Apart from your favorite emotions being the robot vacuum cleaner, which is pretty awesome, is there any in your house that you think would be your other people in the house, their favorite? Like,
okay, yeah. So my wife does really appreciate. I have a Pico remote by her bed, so that before she's got a lamp, we've got a ceiling fan, we've got a light up above on the ceiling fan, and with the Pico remote, she can control all those from one place. And it's even nice just for the bed. Like, why would you want a button controller for a bedside lamp? Because when you're laying in bed, like the idea that you have to actually get up enough to reach up and pull the stupid cord or thing, like you can just have a button. You can stay perfectly comfortable and just boop, turn that off. So my wife really, really appreciates the Pico remote. And because she appreciates it, that makes me happy, because then she allows me to do other nonsense like the vacuum or the LED lights underneath the piano that automate when you start playing the piano. So,
are they WLED lights that then sync to the music, or they just turn on nice?
Yeah, they're Govi lights that they do sync to the music in whatever, you can select a certain different type of dance modes or whatever you want. So yeah, they bop to the beat of the music.
And how do you detect that someone's playing the piano? Is it based on someone sitting on the seat? There's like a pressure sensor, or
no? It's got the controller for the Govi light strip has a little microphone on it, so it can detect sound.
Okay.
But what happens if like someone's like clapping or something like that, right? Like it's like, because that those things typically would set it off, if I recall.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Okay. Yes. So there's actually, I forgot to turn it on. There's a motion sensor. Yeah. So to turn it on, there's a motion sensor. It's on the piano. It's right by the keyboard. Now I actually had to go to make this work, because the motion sensors are kind of ugly. They're big white things generally. I specially painted it with a black lacquer so it matches the piano, the color of the piano, right? So there's the white spot where the actual sensor is, but the rest of the thing is painted to match the piano. So it just kind of sits there. When you get there, it can it senses that the keys are still moving, and it also, the light for the music will turn on as well when you're sitting there. So
That's nice.
I used to have it. This got pretty annoying. But I used to have it so when you finish playing the piano, it would give you a round of applause on the Sonos speaker, and maybe give you some nice comments or compliments. But that got to be a little bit much, so we had to turn that one off.
You should actually have a recording of it and just say, like, grade you. We're like, that was like a C+. You could do better, Pete.
Oh man, I love it.
I'm surprised you could have used like a vibration sensor instead of a motion sensor, like inside the piano. Once you're starting to play the piano, there's enough vibration.
Yeah. So the reason they were okay. I didn't have a vibration sensor at the time I did it, which is one reason. But I didn't know it would be as sensitive as they are, and I think it would work pretty well to do with them. The only downside is you have to wait till you start playing, whereas the light now, it turns on so you can see what you're doing before you have to hit a key. So I think there's benefits to both. Those vibration sensors are pretty cool. I've got a Zeus, so that's one of your sponsors. They sponsor our podcast. So Zeus is pretty awesome, and I do have a vibration sensor, and I've used that for several things. I tried putting it on the garbage can so you can sense if that's been moved down to the curb or not, which is kind of fun. I don't actually, I took this one off because it was kind of, but I had one on the trampoline just to see if trigger that. The kids are not supposed to be on the trampoline when we're not home, right? So
fair enough.
I can
seems
now safe. I can tell if there's someone on the trampoline if we're not there. So
That's right.
I think that's one of the, you got to spy on your kids. I think use the technology you have to make sure they're not in trouble. And so then they can completely rebel on me when they leave the house, right? So all the
right.
stuff they didn't get away with, they'll...
You're setting them up for success, essentially.
Oh, absolutely. I've been noodling a video about how smart homes are probably ruining our children. And I think it might be true. Like, they don't know how to turn lights off. Like, that's just not even a thing in their world, right? And I think it's induced a lot of laziness that they're going to get surprised when they get to the real world. It really is not everything is like this. So we'll see.
Or the real world to catch up with smart homes, right? And start, and that will be their reality.
Maybe it will.
anyways.
Yeah, I mean, they might get lucky, right? They might get lucky. The smart homes will do everything for them, and also they won't be able to get jobs because AI will do everything by then too. So it'll be a crazy.
It's
a crazy
Wally
world, man.
called it, right?
Yeah,
It's where you had those people floating around and just doing nothing when the robots did everything. But
that's like legit. It seemed weird at the time, but that's a legit possibility. I seriously, like, I can't believe the things that AI, like, I'm looking at my first job when I was out of college as a copywriter. I'm like, AI can do the job of 20 of me. Basically, it would be one person to be like basically programming AI to write the kind of boring menial copy that I was doing as a beginner. When you get more advanced and you're trying to do more creative things, AI can't handle that, but AI can help with that. And it's a bold new world, man. And I'm still complaining about Home Assistant being too complicated for me. So.
Well, you did say at the top of the hour that you wanted Home Assistant to become easier to use thanks to AI. So
Yes.
maybe that's
There
where
you
we
go.
need to go.
That's what we're all hoping for.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, Pete, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today and being brave enough. I know you're not the biggest fan of Home Assistant, but to come onto this audience, which is fully into Home Assistant, I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you're big fans of Home Assistant.
Yeah.
Where can people find where they want to see some more of your content, listen to your podcast? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so find me on my channel, YouTube channel, DIY Smart Home Guy, and that's where all my videos and everything go. I'm not big into socials, I'll be honest. We are considering moving the podcast to a new channel, so that would just be a Difficulties Smart Home Podcast channel on its own. So I just think it can live on its own, possibly better. So right now, the podcast, Technical Difficulties Smart Home Podcast is on the DIY Smart Home Guy channel, but maybe moving soon. So stay tuned for that.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you so much, Pete. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
even with all the
thanks
technical difficulties today.
Thanks for having me. I should plug. I do comedy shows too. Did you guys know? Did you even know that? I should.
I did know that.
I mean, yeah, we did know that. We're waiting
don't
for the comedy
seem
to
care,
start.
right? So yeah, look for me. Book me for your next event. I've done stand-up comedy for a long time, so it's a fun little hobby.
If your kid's having a birthday party, then
no,
there you go.
oh my gosh, I've done. I actually had a great. It wasn't a kid's birthday. It was an adult birthday party. But I did a show in someone's basement. They paid good money for it. It was awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna suck. But it was actually really a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So yeah, book me for your birthday or for your next smart home event or whatever
There
you
you
want to do.
That's it. Perfect. Well, cheers.
Well,
Thanks
cheers. Yeah, that's the thing. That's Phil's supposed to be doing the cheers. Is cheers a Canadian thing?
We always do. I don't know. Cheers.
Well,
I think cheers is like a global thing.
Yeah, it's global, isn't it? Sure.
I mean, it was a fun TV show in the 80s, but yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, yes. Thanks for having me, guys. It was a lot of fun.
No, thank you.